Hi, I'm Michael, and this is California. And over the weekend on Sunday, President Trump said that he would not agree to pass any further stimulus without a payroll tax cut included. In fact, he said, we are not doing anything without a payroll tax cut. Now, this stuck out in my mind for a variety of reasons. The main one is that so many programs are funded by payroll tax. So things like Medicare and Social Security and a lot of other programs that go along with that. Things like SSI, SSDI, and a lot of programs that seniors utilize when they need it most. So today we're going to look at how payroll tax affects Medicare and Social Security, as well as who would really benefit from a payroll tax cut. But before we do that, if you do like the information that we are giving out, as well as you find it interesting or you find it useful, please make sure that you like and subscribe. That way you can get updates when our newest and most informative videos become available. All right, so let's talk about Social Security and Medicare and how they interact with the payroll tax. So first of all, these are programs really designed for folks who are no longer able to work or who have already decided that they're going to retire. And they're really meant to put money in the pockets of those individuals so that they can live with dignity. They can have money for rent, and they can have money for food, and they can have health care. And these programs are funded by a payroll tax. And currently 187 million workers are contributing to the Social Security Trust Fund through their payroll tax. Additionally, 64 million Americans are currently collecting Social Security benefits, and 61 million Americans are currently on Medicare. And how this works is that every month when somebody gets paid, a portion of their paycheck goes to the trust funds for Social Security and Medicare, and it's split with the employer and the employee. So for example, the employer will pay a 7.65% of that, whatever they pay the employee, and the employee will also pay 7.65% into those trust funds, totaling 15.3% overall. So the employer pays a portion, the employee pays a portion, and all that money goes into the trust fund for later if the employee needs it, if they ever become disabled, or when they begin to claim their retirement. An example of how much this is would be for an employee who makes $50,000 a year with a 15.3% payroll tax would mean they would have paid $7,650 into both those trust funds for the year of 2020. Both Social Security and Medicare have been experiencing some pretty dramatic demographic changes lately. The first is that there is a huge amount of folks who are beginning to enter into their retirement age. They worked their whole life, they paid in the system, they've earned it, and now it's time for them to start taking money out of Social Security and Medicare for their benefits. So that is one of the biggest changes that is happening. An additional one is 30 million Americans over the last 5 weeks just applied for unemployment, which means that if they're not getting paychecks, they're also not going to be getting taxed that payroll tax. So they're not going to be paying into Social Security and Medicare trust funds. And then furthermore, out of those 30 million people, some folks who could have retired but decided not to are going to say, it's time to retire, right? I've worked my whole life. I've earned it. It's time to get into that whole program. And they start taking those benefits away, but they're not going to be paying into it anymore. So those are three major shifts that are happening. And on top of that, President Trump is proposing a payroll tax cut that would limit the amount of money that both those trust funds could collect from the people who are still working. So let's take a look at how that payroll tax cut could affect benefits for Medicare overall, as well as who would be the winners and losers of a proposed payroll tax cut. With the proposed payroll tax cut, there's definitely going to be folks who benefit from it and folks who don't benefit from it. So let's take a look at those people who would really benefit from a payroll tax cut and those who don't. So the first folks would be self-employed individuals. And the reason being is that when someone is self-employed, they actually pay both sides of the payroll tax. So normally if you're employed, you pay a portion of it, you pay half, 7.65%, and the employer pays the other half, 7.65%, together 15.3%. Now, if you are self-employed, you are actually the employer and the employee, so you're paying both sides of it. So if you were able to get a payroll tax cut, then you would benefit double side of it. Additionally, payroll tax for Social Security and Medicare begin to get phased out for individuals who make over $137,700 per year. That's a lot of self-employed folks who are maybe doctors or lawyers or specialists or consultants of some sort. So they'd really get an extra benefit for having that payroll tax on their side. Additionally, businesses would benefit as well because they would be able to get more money to hold in reserve. I don't see businesses, especially during this lockdown, growing any really, or even hiring on more people. But once the lockdown is over, they could use those additional funds to grow the business, or perhaps to be able to hire on more people or expand what they're doing. And then finally, employees would really benefit from this as well, because when they receive their paycheck, although they're not going to get paid any more money necessarily, more money is going to actually go into their pockets because they're paying out less money in taxes. Now, we look at the folks who don't benefit from this. The first one is kind of obvious. It's folks who are not getting a paycheck. So if they're unemployed, if they're on unemployment, if they're on SSDI or SSI, or getting any sort of benefits that are not necessarily a paycheck, that payroll tax cut is not going to benefit them at all. They're not going to see any additional money in their pockets, especially right now when they need it the most. Another folks who would be not benefit from it would be all of us, because any dollar that doesn't go into Social Security, that doesn't go into Medicare, limits the amount of time that those programs can stay running. It limits how much money they can pay out in the future. So maybe not right now, but 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years down the road, every dollar that we're not putting in now is going to have an effect down the line. So when we look at beneficiaries, when we look at non-beneficiaries, you can really see that it's really geared, a payroll tax cut is geared towards that upper echelon of employed individuals here in the U.S. Overall, when we look at the payroll tax cut proposal by Trump, it just needs to be lumped together with all the other proposals out there to try to help Americans get through this lockdown time and get some more resources when they need it most. And in fact, this may even just be an offhand comment by President Trump. There's no specifics about the amounts or times or anything like that, but it's definitely one of the should be included in the list of things that are being proposed, like the ABC or the Emergency Money for the People Act or the Patriot Pay Act or whatever else comes out. And really, there's a long road ahead of all these proposals before they become active. There's still lots of negotiating that needs to happen. It needs to go to the House, go to the Senate, and get checked off by President Trump and signed by President Trump and approved. So until we have any sort of substantive idea about what these proposals really look like, it's really going to be hard to say which one is going to be best for America overall. But what I can say is that the longer the process takes to get these things approved and through their process, the longer it's going to take for Americans to get back on their feet and get the economy reopened. So as that happens, we'll definitely make more videos about it. I think this topic is very interesting, and we love making the videos about these policies that affect a lot of our community members and folks who work with us. So if you liked the video, if you found it interesting or you found it useful, please don't forget to like and subscribe. That way you can get updates when our newest and most informative videos become available. Additionally, if you do have any comments or questions, please put them down below. We love to get those comments and questions, and we'll be happy to make either a new video or a new post, answer them in any way that we can. Now, finally, we here at California, we know health insurance. That is exactly what we do. So whether it is private health insurance or Covered California or Medi-Cal or Medicare or even health insurance for a small group, that is what we specialize in, specifically here in California. And in fact, anyone who's here in California can utilize our help 100% free. There is no cost for any of our services. So if you are in a situation that can obviously be frustrating, it can be confusing about what are your health insurance options. Maybe you're losing your health insurance through your work and now you're trying to find health insurance on your own, or you're turning 65 or you're looking for a small group. That is exactly what we do. So feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions about your health insurance, or check out some of our new videos that are coming out, or some of our old videos about PPP or EIDL, or any of those other programs, stimulus checks part 2, and we're going to continue to make videos moving forward whenever we get updates. So for California, I'm Michael, wishing you a happy, healthy day.